Hello, welcome to a very special, unique episode of the AI Edge podcast. This is our Ask Me Anything mailbag episode, just in time for the holidays. Myles, I'm excited about this one. We don't have a host, it's just me and you.
It's just you and I. This is great. Intimate time together.
Well, now I
As
feel stupid already because I said me and you, and then you said you and I, and I'm
oh
like,
well,
well, what is my grammar's all off, you
it's
know?
bad. It's bad.
It's bad.
But
Yeah, my
we
grammar's
we
bad.
we can just move on.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we have 6 questions that we pulled from the bag that we want to kind of lightning round through, Miles. So I'm gonna tell you the question. Maybe if I feel like it, I'll say what I think,
All
and
right.
then I'll ask you to say what you think, and we'll just riff. Sound good?
I love it.
Okay, let's do it. So the first question was by our very own Lauren Douglas, actually.
Ooh.
Lauren, you're part of the team, and you're submitting questions into the mailbag.
You
That
gotta
seems.
seed. You gotta seed the questions. You know.
I hope she asks us an easy one. I haven't even read it yet. Let's see. Are agency jobs in the future going to change, and how? Yes, they're going to change. My very quick thoughts there are, all jobs, just thematically, all jobs that require rote work, pushing buttons, pulling levers in UIs are going to go away fast, right? All that stuff's going to get agentified pretty quickly. I think the jobs that are kind of focused on like more human creativity, so strategy, even planning, creative, those things will become more important. They will grow. Those people doing those things will get paid more. But that's just like my very high level thematic view, which honestly I think is fairly obvious. Miles, what do you think?
That was so obvious. Shit. No, I'm
Damn it!
kidding. I'm kidding. No, I
Damn
don't.
it!
I don't think any of it's obvious at all. I did a talk for some students at NYU like I don't know 2 months ago or so, and like one of the threads I was pulling on in like discussing sort of the future of marketing and advertising with respect to AI was like keeping a focus on like what remains scarce. So like AI is like provides this abundance of stuff, like whatever, an abundance of like certain types of labor, or of course like information processing and certain types of decision making, and you got to think like, well, what's scarce in like in agency world? It's like, well, relationships, like human relationships and trust, very scarce. Like AI is not going to replace like your trusted agency account manager or strategist or whoever it is at the agency like you're talking to. So it's like, I don't know, maybe there's just going to be more of maybe people have more time, so I don't get on planes and go have meetings with the clients and take them out to dinner and stuff, and like that's one of the things that like takes over. So I think like the relationships could potentially there could be a bigger focus on relationships, which is probably a good thing for agencies. So it's like you don't have like these armies of people just sitting behind a desk, like you said, pushing buttons all day, and that counts as agency work. It's like, with no wonder agencies got devalued. It's like the clients, like, okay, so you got like 5,000 kids behind desks pushing buttons, BFD. So does every other agency. Like, who's going to take me out to dinner? Who has interesting ideas for me? Like, who's going to tell me a joke? So I don't know. That's just like one of the things that like leaps to mind. We could go on for like hours on like other
Yeah.
things, but I think there's a bunch of like human qualities that at least smart agency founders and smart agency teams are probably going to re-inject back into the relationship.
Yep. I love it. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one's from Krish Salam. He asked, in your crystal ball, what does an agency look like when AI is fully enabled? So I guess a corollary question in a way to Lauren's question. Any thoughts on that, Miles?
I mean, it's $1 million, $1 trillion. I don't know, probably not $1 trillion. I don't think I don't, unfortunately, I don't think the entire agency economy put together rises to
No,
$1 trillion. It's
no.
a couple $100 billion question,
Yep.
yeah, like what do agencies look like? And I don't know that we know that today. I just like the nature of agency work has always changed. And so like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if an
think I think
agency.
I don't know. Nobody knows, right? We could bloviate on this all day long. I think there's a lot of people bloviating on this all day long. My very quick take is it's what we just talked about with
Yeah,
the answer to Lauren's question, and then
yep,
if we play that out a little bit, it's okay. If an agency is fully AI enabled, agents are doing a lot of work that is
Yep.
routine, that is manual, that is, today locked up behind UIs. And humans are doing a lot more creative work. It's almost like a pendulum swinging back moment to the era of Mad Men, where it's like, does the agency actually just become that again in a weird way? I don't think that's, I think that's extreme, but,
One can only hope. That was a lot more sexy than.
yeah. Can we drink whiskey?
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. Can we smoke and drink whiskey and actually have a cool job? Good furniture. I was gonna say that I think the easier question maybe to answer, it's certainly lower hanging fruit, is the opposite of the question, is like, what do the agencies that fail look like? Like
Mm-hmm.
AI is going to cause a lot of agencies to fail,
Mm-hmm.
probably, unfortunately. It's the whole concept of creative destruction. And, I think when you've got, incumbent teams and whatever political structures inside of an agency that just aren't ready to integrate AI and integrate essentially an army of virtual helpers, you end up with these dinosaurs that are still employing and trying to monetize these armies of people sitting at computers pushing buttons.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I think maybe the opposite question is actually the easier one to answer, of what's not going to work, and kind of nobody knows what is going to work yet.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's an easier question to answer, which actually,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it this big, hairy, audacious, pie in the sky thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next question. This one's by Clayton Schifos. I probably messed that up. Sorry. I really like this question. How does AI actually build an ideal client profile, and will it tell you when the assumptions or data you think fit are wrong? Because ChatGPT does like to boost your ego just a little bit. And I love this, right? Because we're talking about like synthetic audiences, which we know is a hot topic right now. And we're talking about like the sycophancy of a synthetic audience, which I love that. That's an awesome topic. Any thoughts on that?
The number one thing that leaps to mind, Shiv, is like, you and I, and whatever, maybe others that you have digital, we got to find experts who can answer this question of like, who's building the technology, who can teach us about the technology, anti-sycophancy technology.
Mm-hmm.
Someone must be solving this problem, because Clayton does ask a very good question of trusting AI for marketing when it simply is all you can never trust that it's not simply reinforcing your bias of like showing it a campaign plan or a media plan, and then showing it or like uploading some synthetic audience profiles and asking the AI like, is my media plan good for these profiles? And the AI says, yes, it's brilliant. And you're like, well, wait a second. Now I'm still at square one, because I don't know if it's truly brilliant, or if that's just, I could load anything in and you would tell me it's brilliant. So, I mean, I am guessing that there are software companies right now building this. And I mean, this gets back to the whole, I know it's not like a hot term anymore, but prompt engineering. And also like pushing these systems through multiple phases where, for instance, and whatever, not that Clayton's assuming that this would be all baked into a single prompt or a single application, but like feeding this through multiple applications so that there's essentially like checks and balances at every stage, where you are having some sort of assurance that it's not just being the sycophant and telling you that you're brilliant.
Yeah, a couple of things. I saw a report that like synthetic audiences are about like 90% valuable / accurate. Now I don't, 90% is, whatever. I don't know how they came up with that number, but it's an interesting directional kind of figure of like, okay, they're almost there, but 10% of the time you still need a human in the loop and human feedback and human panels and things like that. So I thought that was interesting. I'm sure, friend of the podcast, former guest, Chad Reynolds, CEO of Verve, would have some interesting things to say about this, right? Like, I'm sure they're programming it in. Yeah, he'd have a real answer to the question. So Clayton, we'll get Chad back on.
Yeah, I know, right.
To answer.
The last thing I'll say about this is, I think all of us tend to, again, I'm not saying that Clayton's doing this, but my head certainly like leaps way too far forward in terms of sophistication, where if you're talking about client profiles, like one of the use cases I always have in my head is if you are a large brand that operates or that runs multiple product and brand lines, potentially
Mm-hmm.
across like multiple retail distribution paths, across multiple geographies. Maybe you're even operating around the world, multiple languages. And so basically you have this highly multivariate um, marketing strategy from 50,000 feet. It's just like you're running, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of permutations. And that's a lot of that translates to very, very basic and straightforward audience characteristics where you can feed your entire creative strategy or all your assets through this. And an AI could easily flag like, hey, you're running the Western European creative in APAC. Like that's an easy flag, but that's something
Yep.
that could potentially slip through, and it does relate back to your audience and client profile. But it is these very straightforward characteristics that are now. It's much easier now for a machine to kind of audit things and make sure
Mm-hmm.
that at least the basic stuff is right. Because that's a
Yeah.
huge challenge for marketers. Forget the sophisticated characteristics of your audience. Just the basic shit is hard to nail at that kind of scale.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, listen, the final kind of answer here to Clayton's question is you need to build a machine nowadays to do stuff, which is great. The machine is really great and fast and efficient, but the machine makes mistakes. So you need to build another machine to audit the machine to make
Yep.
sure the first machine's not making errors. And then you need a human at the end of the end of the line after both of the machines to just double check both of those machines are actually doing what you want it to. And that's the answer, at least as of now. Okay, let's go to the next question. This one's from Sam Johnson. What is your take on the validity and accuracy of B2B data? I'm guessing in the context of AI. I'm going to make that leap. Anything on that, Myles?
Oh man.
You can tell how prepared we are.
Caveat emptor. No, I unfortunately, Sam, I don't. I mean, there's a lot of snake oil salespeople out there, and there's a lot of bad data, certainly in B2B. I don't ever trust it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how, AI comes into this discussion. It's just, B2B data. There's a lot of garbage out there. And,
well,
yep,
I was going to say there are now a lot of AI solutions that enrich,
yep,
you can use a clay or something, which is just kind of like your whatever data salesman robot that's
yep.
now you have to trust that it's doing a good job enriching your data.
Well, I think that's a great point, right? Like, if we actually try to give Sam some kind of useful answer, I guess that's the answer is like, hey, there's a lot of garbage when it comes to B2B data. The beauty of AI is AI actually turns a seed of data, even if it's not completely clean or beautiful or perfect, through the right kind of prompting and manipulation, it can turn a seed of data into much more. Right.
Yeah.
And in the past, when garbage data was just flying around, triangulating all that data, putting in checks and balances on that data, using a seed to then, create, a broader set of data to work off of was arduous, time intensive, expensive, and all of those things can be a little easier now in the era of AI. So, hey, maybe it's not so much about the validity and accuracy anymore of the B2B data. It's about getting your hands on some bits and pieces of it, knowing
Yeah.
how valid or accurate it is, and then applying AI to it to clean it up, enrich it, make it
Yep.
bigger and broader, scalable, etc. Yeah, maybe. Did I do okay?
No, I like the idea of like, you don't need to get all the B2B data at once now. Like you said, a single high quality kernel of data about a person, like an email address or a name and company or something, and then AI can go out and like whatever, find them on LinkedIn, find the blog posts they've written, like find a bunch of stuff about them now. But
Yeah.
whatever, it's got to be quality, whatever at the when you go upstream, it's got to be quality first.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. This one is from Anonymous. How can teams tell the difference between AI speeding up good judgment versus slowly eroding it? Oof. That is That's heavy. It's heavy. I like it. It's a great question. It's heavy though.
But
How can
this
teams
is
tell the difference
this
between
is
AI?
deeply existential.
Yes,
Of
it is.
just like, yeah, how far down the rabbit hole with AI are we going
I
until
mean,
it's,
listen, I think the very pessimistic view is good judgment and critical thinking in a lot of shapes and forms will be eroded over time, whether
yeah,
we like it or not. But I think the question is interesting because it's like talking about almost the trackability of that, or like the checks and balances of that. And I think that you know that's a really interesting thing to flag. I think it has to come down to tracking outputs and the quality of outputs, right? So it's
yeah,
hey, if we're gonna actually think about this deeply and we're gonna try to see like okay, AI is speeding up good judgment and we know that because we know the output of this thing is better than the output that we had before the AI, right? And how do you compare the output? What are the benchmarks of the output? But I think that's got to be the answer. Is you got to be able to do the pre versus post. And listen, like we don't do
yeah,
this. Most people don't do this. I'm not like sitting there saying, "Hey, I used to do this thing before without AI. I'm going to now bump it up against this thing I did with AI. Which one's better?" And I'm going to think deeply about this. I'm going to create a scorecard. I'm going to create a
yeah.
rubric. There's going to be a quantitative and a qualitative. Like we're no one's. I'm not doing that, and most people are not doing that. And if you really, really want to track that, and I think it's interesting to track that, then you're going to have to put those types of processes and scorecards and mechanisms in place, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Step one, clone your entire business, run
Right.
one with
A/B
AI and
test.
one without, and check back in 24 months. Uh,
It's just A/B testing the shit out of your
yeah,
business,
yeah, yeah.
right?
I my the where my head goes immediately is this is a very cynical response to this question. Uh, is how good is your team's judgment today without AI? Like, do you even have good judgment today?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is sort of kind of implying that your judgment is sufficient or perhaps excellent today, and it is being potentially threatened by AI. I am assuming, maybe more cynically, that maybe today's judgment isn't any good to begin with. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of bad business people out there. There's a lot of professionals phoning it in every day. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's one of the things with AI that the perception goes a little bit maybe too far in assuming the level of quality of human work, that
Yep.
humans are not also flawed, like in many,
Mm-hmm.
we all are. And so that would be actually the number one thing where I would even step back from this question and say, like, why don't you measure the quality of your judgment now without
Anonymous.
any AI? No, yeah. Thank you, anonymous, for the wonderful question. No, no, no. I have a more cynical take than, and it actually, this is one reason that I'm like so bullish on AI, is I think that it has a lower bar to get over than a lot of people assume, and that's an
Mm-hmm.
unflattering thing about people. Is like we're not. I think a lot of us have now. I use AI. I think this is maybe going to roll into the last questions. I use AI a lot at U of Digital to like make snap things about, I need a name for this thing. I need a subject line for this email. And it spits out something that's great that I'm like,
Totally.
yeah, I don't know. In the past, maybe I would have been more respected as a professional because people would be, oh man, Myles writes really good email subject lines. And that's not, and it's like, well, apparently that wasn't as special as I thought.
Yep.
Like, that
Yep.
just ain't special anymore.
Yep. Okay. I think we could. I mean, this. We should probably like go find anonymous and like, you know, go have a drink at a bar and talk
I
about
think
this
so.
one for
I
hours and
think so.
hours. But we don't have time for that right now. So let's go to the last question, also by anonymous. What's an AI workflow you trust and have begun using at U of Digital?
Hmm.
Myles, do you have any?
I don't know that I have a workflow yet. I
Yeah,
mean,
same here.
do you, yeah, like, I don't know, our
I'm
day-to-day
kind of
jobs.
embarrassed because we're like the AI people here telling people about AI workflows and stuff, but like I'm a little
I,
embarrassed. We gotta eat some of our own dog food, you know?
I mean, if the workflow is, you know, opportunistically and on an increasing basis switching over to a different browser tab where I have Gemini open or ChatGPT open and
Mm-hmm.
I am ideating with it. Yeah, I do that every day. And I mean, that's to me, that's become kind of like whatever the leadership workflow. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like tell it your problems, tell it your opportunities, tell it your
Totally.
current situation,
Yeah.
give it some background, and just start a conversation with it. And I trust it because I like to think of myself as someone who knows what good looks like. I think this gets back to the last question is like, if you don't
Totally.
have people who know what good looks like, yes, AI will erode the quality of stuff, but if they know what good looks like, then it's actually a huge asset. It's an incredible tool to have a back and forth with.
Yep.
And every day, I mean, whatever, I Slack you all the time, Shiv, of like, look at this thing that AI came up with. And it's brilliant. And I probably wouldn't have come up with it myself. Or if I did, it would have taken me days and months of like frustrating, just like, oh, I have to, turn off Slack and email and just think for 5 hours. It's like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. Just tell it to ChatGPT and it'll figure it out for you.
I will say I have a few workflows. So
Ooh,
so first of all, I use Claude a lot, and in Claude I have 6 to 8 projects. So in Claude you have this little thing called projects. Projects allow you to like kind of create your own pre-trained Claude version to do a specific thing. So I have, what, and I want to pull it up right now. I want to look at my projects and talk them out loud. So my 6 projects, and I use some way more than others. My 6 projects are, this is embarrassing. I've never wanted to say this to everybody, but since Anonymous asked me the question, I'm going to say it. I have a Claude project for the U of Digital AI Edge newsletter. I have a Claude project for the U of Digital original newsletter. And so every week when we're writing the newsletter, we write it as humans, but we put it through Claude, a pre-trained Claude project that looks for very specific things. And some of those things are basic, right? Proofread, make sure grammar is correct, those types of things. Other things, though, it looks for is tone. Other things it looks for is accuracy. Other things it looks for is brevity. Other things it looks for are like, interesting, non-obvious kind of insights that we may have missed. And honestly, like, I don't know, please tell me, Anonymous, or any of our listeners, write to us. Myles, I don't know what you think. Like, we started doing this maybe 6 months ago. I feel like our newsletter's still good and
mm-hmm.
maybe even a little better than it used to be. So that's one example. I have a proposal builder. I'm selling on behalf of U Digital. I'm selling our training services, and so whenever I'm putting together a proposal now, I don't build it by hand, and I don't copy an old Google Doc and manipulate everything. I have trained a Claude project to build our proposals for different personas. I've actually told the project to ask me 6 specific questions every time I ask it to build a proposal that I need to
Nice.
answer. And then it spits out a good proposal. And I'm constantly training it and adding to the project. And then I have like 4 other of these projects that I'm working on, but and I'm using on a regular basis. So there are some examples.
There you go,
Anonymous.
Anonymous. We got workflows.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
We're
Okay,
doing
I'm
it.
not embarrassed
No.
anymore. We're doing it. We're doing it. Okay, that's our mailbag. Thank you, Myles, for joining me. This was a lot of fun. We'll do another one maybe at some point. I don't know when, but we'll figure it out. Happy holidays, everyone.
And thank you to Lauren, Krish, Clayton, Sam, and Double Anonymous, who was maybe 2 different people, could have been the same person. We don't know, and we never will, for the questions.
We'll never know. We'll
We'll
never know.
never know.
Thank you, Myles. Hey, everybody, go check out uofdigital.ai. Make your New Year's resolution to learn and up level your AI knowledge and skills so you can do a better job and you can kind of adapt yourself and your teams for the era of AI. And that's our mailbag episode. Thanks, Myles.
Bye, everybody.